Well of Life is an ability from Trinity that is available in the subsume system. Upon cast, the victim will be suspended and provide status immunity and 100 health regen per second to allies around 15 meters of it. If you hit the target, you will gain life steal from each hit. With its augment, Pool of Life, if the target dies after you uncast the ability or when the ability ends, it will drop 4 health orbs with a 100% chance of dropping an energy orb. The energy orb chance scales with power strength, but not the health orbs. Well of Life is an amazing ability that even eclipses the regen capability of a Whips or Citrine and provides status immunity, which is an amazing addition to one's survivability. It is extremely underrated for supportive purposes, and it is amplified by Pool of Life even more. But that's not what we use it for today. I don't know if you saw it or not, but this is why I use Well of Life. Let me explain. Targets tagged by Well of Life will be invulnerable, but takes all the dealt damage immediately after the duration ends or recasted. Normally, this doesn't do much. There used to be unintended synergies with it, but it was quickly fixed. But the problem is, how do you even cause damage around the target? Aren't you just doing everything for nothing? Oh well, have you heard about AoE statuses? AoE statuses consist of gas, electricity, and a newly added blast. Such status allows their tick damage to be dealt to enemies around them. But again, aren't you dealing any damage at all? Like, you can clearly see that the target takes 0 damage. That's only for direct hits, not for DOTs. DOT still counts their damage, and that's why we use statuses like gas, electricity, or blast. Even if the hit target receives no damage, the statuses that allows AoE will still hit the target around it. This allows certain weapons that has insane one-shot potential with immense dot damage to have its damage potential utilized perfectly. Allows DOT damage over millions on enemies with ease, without armor strip or viral status, mind you. Still using the cut method of grouping up enemies and shoot with Vectis Prime, now try this method of letting enemies walk into their death. All you need is to naturally funnel your enemies into one spot, and voila, enemies just dies without even you doing much. Obviously, Vectis Prime is not the only viable option. Beam weapons seems to be also a good candidate, specifically chain beams. Because the beam can still chain to the enemies near the quote-unquote tower, it allows a very chill survival mission experience. Enemies will die quick and requires less of an aiming to get a similar job done. But as with every setup, it doesn't mean that it has 0 downsides. Not every ability is built like pre-nerf Rhino Storm. Let's just get started on the first one. While Well of Life generally provides massive benefit, but due to its stationary nature, this setup is strictly viable only in survival missions where you have full control over the enemy flow. Squad play wise, if your teammate wish to cooperate and do a camping setup, this works extremely well. If not, it might not be as good as you might think, and most of the time, you might as well bring something else. Also, if there's many overguarded units nearby, casting this ability becomes very annoying due to them having immunity against it and sometimes will ruin the setup a bit. While it is not much in the large picture, but it does cause some inconveniences. And lastly, due to it requires you to understand the enemy flow, this setup doesn't work on a lot of spots since you need to funnel the enemies naturally and makes them stand tight together. Its heavy reliance on tile sets are what makes this setup just short of being a fully capable Rhino build that I will recommend playing with all the time, but only if you have some friends. If you had a squad buddy that can bring a grouping ability just for you, this setup becomes really good due to the fact that you had enemies dragged to the tower forcibly. And look at them, they come to this place when they know they are not peer. Tenno used the keys, but they are mere trespassers. Only I, Vor, know the true power of the void. Thank you to Future Fang for providing a good source of grouping while getting those juicy double crit damage and additional electricity damage on the weapon. Make sure to show him some love. Link of his channel in the description below. Anyways, we have already established that snipers and chain beams are generally preferred with this setup. But what if you want to use other things, say a beam that doesn't chain like Ignis Ray or rifles like Tenora Prime? Well, it works decently for either Ignis or Tenora, but I guess you better off just shoot them directly. It's not that it's bad, but the moment that the enemy comes, they probably die to the shots from your weapon long ago. And lastly, let's talk about the Rhino build. I will be guiding you hand by hand. So first, you have mode augmented, obviously for strength, mode efficiency, just to let Well of Life last longer, and raw as well. First, you need a lot of strength because you need to have a high raw percentage. So probably you will just go with the max amount of strength available. Second of all, you need prime flow because you are going with 45 efficiency, so you need to have a lot of energy reserve. And prime continuity to cancel the negative of transient fortitude. Stretch is just for quality of life. You don't actually need it, but it's better to have it. And augment wise, you need two. First one is Pool of Life. Pool of Life allows Well of Life to give you health orb and energy orb, and the energy orb actually scales with strength, so this can replace our equilibrium for our energy economy. And second, Reinforcing Storm. Obviously, you want it for Iron Skin and to allow Iron Skin to be replenished each time you cast Reinforcing Storm. And lastly, for your Exciter slot, you can choose to go Preparation for a better energy start, or Power Drift if you can wait a bit, drop yourself an energy pad and let it regen for you. And yeah, that's all for the Rhino build. And thus, this is Well of Life used for the absolutely wrong purpose. Obviously, this is a meme build that somehow just works when the stars align, but do keep in mind of the downsides I previously mentioned and what weapons generally pairs well with it. And yeah, that's all for today's video. See you all next time. Goodbye.